Well, it's kind of hard to believe that the 30th anniversary of the natural areas is coming up, but it's been fun to reflect on all the changes that have occurred in the natural areas during that time. The natural areas were relatively few and far between. Finally, we now have this really amazing interconnected green belt of natural areas, which allows both nature to thrive and people to thrive along with them and understand how they interconnect. My role with the natural area programs has been twofold. Originally it was called the Master Naturalist, and that has evolved now to Volunteer Naturalist. But the goal was to educate people who had an interest in nature so that they could create programs or at least volunteer to talk about programs. And that all interested me as being a former teacher and a biologist and so on. Fortunately, later on, they needed some visual signage to go with the natural areas. And so I was able to use my skills as a graphic artist and an illustrator to create some of the signage. So I've enjoyed both those aspects of my Master Naturalist career. So one of my first signs to do was cattail chorus. It was either the first or one of the very first signs that Sue Kenny, who was kind of the initial head of the Master Naturalist program, wanted me to create. And so we actually came out to the cattail chorus area, took a look at the pond, and of course she had a vision for some of the kind of elements in terms of animals and birds and that she wanted on there. And then it was up to me to kind of put it together. And I can remember working in my basement, creating the painting, because usually I'll use traditional media like acrylics and mixed media and so on. My wife Sharon came down, and I remember saying to her, you know, this is exactly the kind of stuff that I want to be doing. It certainly was an assignment which pleased me a lot and kind of set my career in motion in terms of writing and illustrating natural history projects. One of the things that inspires me in looking at things in nature is to take a peek at things which maybe everybody doesn't take a peek at. And so when I'm looking to create a sign, I like to take an unusual perspective or maybe show the animal doing something that is a little bit unexpected or dramatic in some way, so that that'll come through in the sign. Well, it's always kind of fun to see a design or an image that I've created and actually see it in place. And for a great many of the signs, I get a chance to see a lot of them. For others, I may not come across them until weeks or months later. But it's always a surprise, and it's always fun, and it's good to know that you know, the vision that you had in creating the sign is something that might inspire somebody else to travel more trails as a result. So it's gratifying. The legacy that the natural areas leaves, I think, for the future is amazing, because it was hard initially to convince people that it was a good idea to buy property, for example, so close to Wyoming or in widely scattered areas. But it really was an amazingly good choice, because it combines some of the necessities of finding ways for wildlife to live and thrive in the area along with people. And the taxpayers saw the value in this, and they helped raise the money to make this a possibility. So I think the long-range benefits are going to go well into the future, and it's comforting that some people had a vision to look that far in the future to make that happen.